Ever feel like you're just drowning in a sea of brands? Everywhere you look, it's like another ad, another sale, another company just like vying for your attention.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Today, we're going on a deep dive into this whole phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
exploring this crowding effect
Okay.
and how it's shaping the brands all around us.
Interesting.
Our guide for this deep dive is this really insightful article
Yeah.
called Navigating the Noise, How the Crowding Effect Shapes Brands.
Okay.
It really gets into like the psychology of choice overload
Right.
and how brands are trying to walk this like tightrope
Mm-hmm.
between standing out and like totally overwhelming us.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah.
On the one hand, brands have more opportunities now than ever to connect with us.
Right.
But on the other hand, we're just bombarded with so much information
Yeah.
that it's hard to even process it all,
Oh, absolutely.
let alone make informed decisions.
Yeah, the article dives right into this idea of choice overload.
Okay.
And it's almost counterintuitive. But it turns out having too many options can actually make us less happy with our choices.
Oh, wow.
We end up like stressed and second-guessing ourselves.
Yeah.
Or even experiencing buyer's remorse.
It's like trying to choose from a menu with like 100 items.
Right.
You might spend more time agonizing over the decision than actually enjoying the meal.
Exactly. And this crowding, it isn't just about the sheer number of choices, right?
Right.
The article makes this distinction between spatial and human crowding.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I never thought about it that way before.
It's a helpful way to understand the different layers of this whole phenomenon.
Yeah.
Spatial crowding is all about the physical environment.
Yeah.
Think about a store that's so packed with merchandise you can barely move.
Oh, correct.
Or a website that's just plastered with flashing ads and pop-ups. It's sensory overload that can make it really hard to focus.
Oh, I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah.
I've walked out of stores before because I just felt so overwhelmed by like the sheer volume of stuff.
Yeah.
Like your brain just shuts down.
Precisely. And then there's human clouding,
Okay.
which is more about that constant barrage of marketing messages we encounter,
Yeah.
especially online.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of being bombarded with limited time offers and exclusive deals,
Right.
and just that constant fear of missing out.
Oh, that FOMO is real.
Yes.
You feel like you have to act like right now or you'll miss out on something amazing.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't even know you wanted it 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. And that pressure can lead to impulsive purchases that we might regret later,
Yeah.
or even a general sense of being overwhelmed and just tuning out completely.
So online shopping seems like a prime example of where this crowding effect really takes hold.
Definitely.
The article describes websites that are just flooded with ads, banners, pop-ups, all vying for our attention.
Right.
It makes you wonder if anyone's actually making informed decisions in that environment.
Yeah.
It feels like a recipe for impulse buys and buyer's remorse.
Yeah. It's a real challenge for brands.
Right.
How do you stand out in this crowded marketplace without contributing to the noise and the chaos?
Right. Because constantly bombarding people with deals and limited time offers might work in the short term to drive sales.
Yeah.
But does it really build brand loyalty?
Right.
It seems like it could actually backfire and make people wary of the brand.
That's the tug of war that brands are constantly facing. They need to balance those short-term sales tactics with the long-term goal of building trust and loyalty.
But the article does mention some brands that seem to be striking that balance.
Okay.
They specifically call out Tata and Cadbury as examples.
What's interesting about those two companies is that they've managed to maintain a really strong sense of brand identity and values, even amid all the marketing noise.
Okay.
Take Tata, for example.
Uh-huh.
They're known for their commitment to trust, social responsibility, and quality. Their marketing consistently reflects those values, even when they're running promotions.
It's like their actions match their words.
Right.
You get a sense that they genuinely believe in what they're selling.
Yeah.
And that makes them more trustworthy.
Exactly.
So what about Cadbury? How do they navigate this crowded landscape?
Well, Cadbury, they run a lot of promotions, but they always keep their messaging focused on the joy of sharing and those heartwarming moments with loved ones.
Yeah.
Like during Diwali, their campaigns beautifully weave together tradition, family, and that simple pleasure of sharing a Cadbury chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
They even launched a campaign where they used AI to help local stores personalize greetings for their customers.
Oh.
And that strikes a chord with their audience and reinforces their brand values, even amidst a flurry of marketing messages.
It's about finding that sweet spot between promoting your products and staying true to like your core values.
Yeah.
Like Cadbury did. Their campaigns don't just shout, buy me.
Right.
They tell a story,
Yeah.
evoke an emotion.
Absolutely.
That's something that this article also highlights. The power of storytelling to cut through the noise.
People connect with stories.
Yeah.
A brand like Nike, they do this brilliantly.
Okay.
They don't just sell shoes and sportswear.
Right.
They tap into like human emotions, ambition, perseverance, the thrill of victory.
Yeah.
Their campaigns often feature inspiring athletes and everyday people pushing their limits, making us feel like we can achieve anything.
Yeah.
It's powerful, and it makes us remember Nike long after we've seen the ad.
It's like they're selling a feeling, an aspiration.
Yeah.
Not just a product.
Right.
And you're right, it sticks with you. But stories aside, the sheer volume of brands vying for our attention, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
What are some ways that brands can actually stand out without adding to the chaos?
Well,
The article did mention beat the chaos or become invisible.
yeah.
And I'm curious to know what the solution could be.
Well, that closing message, it's a stark reminder for brands in today's landscape.
Right.
The article actually offers some practical solutions. One key takeaway is the importance of simplicity, especially in a world of like visual clutter. Brands that embrace minimalism and clear design are more likely to catch our eye.
It's true. Think about Apple's website.
Yeah.
It's sleek, intuitive, and it focuses on showcasing the products without a ton of bells and whistles.
Right.
You're not bombarded with pop-ups or flashing banners.
Yeah.
It's all about letting the products speak for themselves.
Exactly. That sense of calm and clarity can be incredibly appealing when we're constantly being bombarded with information.
So minimalism is one strategy.
Yeah.
What else does the article suggest?
Another crucial point is aligning your online presence with your overall brand values.
Okay.
The article calls this your digital value proposition, or DVP. Essentially, it's about ensuring that your website and online interactions reflect the same values your brand stands for offline.
So if a brand is all about sustainability and ethical practices,
Yeah.
their website should reflect those values.
Right.
Not just through the products they sell, but also through their website, design the content they share, and how they interact with customers online.
Exactly.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Precisely because consumers can spot inauthenticity a mile away.
Right.
And in a world where trust is paramount, that authenticity can make or break a brand.
It's about building genuine connections, not just chasing transactions.
You got it. And one powerful way to build those connections is through personalization.
Oh.
In a world of mass marketing, people crave those individual touches that make them feel seen and understood.
This makes me think about those targeted ads that seem to know exactly what you've been browsing online.
Right.
Is that what we're talking about here?
It can be a part of it, but personalization goes beyond just targeted ads.
Okay.
It's about understanding your customers' needs and preferences and tailoring your interactions accordingly.
Yeah.
It's about creating a sense of one-on-one connection in a world that can often feel very impersonal. Think about Spotify. Their personalized playlists and recommendations based on your listening history make you feel like they get your musical taste.
That's true. I love discovering new artists through those personalized recommendations.
Yeah.
It definitely makes me feel like Spotify understands my music preferences.
Right.
But there's a fine line between personalization and being creepy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How can brands use data to create those personalized experiences without feeling intrusive? It feels like we're walking a tightrope between wanting that personal touch and feeling like our privacy is being invaded. How can brands strike that balance?
Well, I think transparency is key.
Okay.
Brands need to be upfront about how they're using our data and give us control over our preferences.
Yeah.
Like a conversation, not a one-way street.
Right.
Think about those emails that say, we thought you might like this based on your recent purchases.
Right.
It feels helpful, not intrusive, because you understand why you're receiving that message.
It's about building trust.
Right.
If you know a brand is using your data responsibly and with your consent, you're more likely to be open to those personalized experiences.
Exactly. It's about creating a relationship based on like mutual respect. But even with brands trying to be more mindful, we still have a responsibility as consumers to navigate this crowded landscape.
Right.
The article talks about becoming more conscious consumers.
Yeah.
I think that's a really powerful concept.
What does it mean to be a conscious consumer in this context?
Well,
It sounds a bit like mindfulness, but applied to our shopping habits.
Yeah, it's about being aware of our reactions to all this marketing noise.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get swept up in the hype. The limited time offers the fear of missing out.
Right.
But taking a step back and asking ourselves some key questions can make a world of difference.
So what are some of those key questions we should be asking ourselves before we click that buy now button?
Well, first and foremost, does this brand's messaging align with my own values?
Okay.
Are they walking the walk, or are they just really good at talking the talk? We've talked about brands needing to be authentic, but we as consumers need to be authentic to ourselves, too.
It's about voting with our wallets, supporting brands that genuinely reflect what we believe in.
Exactly. Another question to consider is, do I really need this product?
Okay.
The crowding effect often plays on our insecurities and desires,
Right.
making us feel like we need things we don't actually need.
It's that classic keeping up with the Joneses mentality.
Yeah.
We see what everyone else is buying, and we feel like we need to have it too,
Right.
even if it doesn't actually add value to our lives.
Exactly. And that can lead to a cycle of consumption that doesn't bring us lasting satisfaction. So before making a purchase, it's worth pausing and asking ourselves, will this item really enrich my life, or am I just getting caught up in the hype?
So we need to be aware of our own values and needs and not let the marketing noise dictate our decisions. Are there any other strategies we can use to be more conscious consumers?
Sure.
I feel like I need a life raft to
Yeah.
navigate this sea of brands.
Yeah. Well, one powerful strategy is curating our information intake.
Right,
We have more control over what we consume both online and offline than we realize.
right.
We can choose to follow brands and media outlets that align with our values,
Yeah.
and we can unfollow or unsubscribe from those that don't.
It's about creating a digital space that reflects what we care about rather than just letting the algorithms decide what we see.
Exactly. We can also be more mindful of how much time we spend consuming advertising.
Okay.
Setting limits on social media, using ad blockers, and consciously choosing what we expose ourselves to can make a huge difference in our overall well-being.
It's like building a mental filter for all that marketing noise,
Yeah.
choosing what we let in and what we block out.
Yeah.
So much of this comes back to making conscious choices, both for brands and for us as consumers.
That's really what it boils down to. It's a shared responsibility to navigate this crowded landscape in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling for everyone involved.
And I think the article's closing message really sums it up. Beat the chaos or stay invisible. It's a challenge to both brands and consumers to be more mindful, more intentional, and ultimately more connected to what truly matters.
It's about creating a world where brands stand out by being authentically themselves and where consumers feel empowered to choose what resonates with them.
It's a worthy goal, for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the crowding effect. We hope this has given you some food for thought and empowered you to be a more conscious consumer in this ever-evolving world of marketing and brands.
Remember, you have the power to choose. Choose wisely, choose authentically, and choose what truly resonates with you.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.